During the times of the first churches, the apostles were imprisoned, they were martyred, and were stoned to death. They were persecuted all the times. And if you compare that era to ours, we don't go through that much while preaching. Not that many people are persecuting as hard as the people during the times of the first churches. But why am I not bold enough to preach the gospel? I think we lack so much in earnest hearts. Apostles did not have as much Bible knowledge as we do. Knowing a lot of scriptures doesn't necessarily mean you're good at evangelizing. We know way more than the apostles when it comes to the Bible knowledge. And we have so many fellowships, and even sermons too. We can listen to it anytime on our phones. But the more resources we have, the lazier we become. When I received my salvation, I listened to the sermon on the cassette tape with the cassette player. On Sunday, when the sermon ends in the morning, the broadcasting team makes this cassette tape. When you go to the big churches, they do it fast. All the cassettes are lined up well, and the copying process is so quick. And whenever they copy, broadcasting brothers write down the names of the people who are scheduled to come and pick it up. And when we visit each other's houses, those cassettes were everywhere, on the bookshelf and everywhere. We listened to it until it wore out, and we borrowed the tape to each other. But we don't do this anymore, do we? We listen to the sermon once, and that's it. Because there are so many other sermons to listen, not even twice. During that time, the work of salvation was great in our church. Within a year, more than 10 churches were established. But now, how come we don't see that anymore? We are lazy and slow in listening to the word. We must live a life full of words. Everyone, should we strive to hold on to the word, or should the word hold us and guide us? Should we strive to hold on to the word, or should the word hold us and guide us? The word should hold us and guide us. If you are striving to hold on to the verse, and you won't have much strength in you, you encounter the verse, you hold on to that, and that's it. You don't have much options in your heart. But if the word truly dominates your life and holds you, then you'll be like a drunkard who doesn't feel pain, no matter how hard an attack comes, full of Spirit. The work of the Spirit will be revealed through that person. It is no longer who I live, but Christ lives in me. Not only Apostle Paul, but all the born-again Christians should confess this. To think like Christ. To speak like Christ. To act like Christ. To do so, we must have His words in us. But if you see some born-again Christians, when you attack them, you see the dust coming off them. Because they're in a status where they're not receiving the power and strength of the Spirit, and they don't have fruits in their lives. And just like a dry land with a lot of dust coming off, they must be like the land full of moist and water, but that is not the case. Most of the cases, they're the dry land with the dust. Always the worldly concerns, the worldly pleasures, and worldly mindsets. And when it comes to the word, they just listen to the bare minimum. Then how could you expect fruit from them? Plants bring forth the fruits when the fully grown tree has leftover nutrients. Those leftover nutrients become fruits. If you're barely sustaining your growth, then how could you bear the fruits? What's the best way to preach this gospel to my family? I must be filled with the Holy Spirit. I must be filled with the Word. Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10 verse 16. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is what Jesus told the disciples when he was sending them away. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Let me ask you this. When the sheep is sent out among wolves, will the sheep survive or will it die? The chance of surviving is 0% and they will be killed 100%. They will be torn apart. And what does this mean? It means sacrifice. Born-again Christians are sheep. Unbelievers are the wolves. So when I preach the gospel to my family, do you think sheep will prevail over wolves? Or do you think sheep will tear the wolves apart and win? No. If that's the case, then maybe it's a tiger with the face of sheep, right? Born-again Christians must be determined to sacrifice and go through hardships. Everyone, if you have to go through those hardships and sufferings, are you going to regret receiving salvation? Oh, if I knew this was coming, then I shouldn't have received salvation. Think about it. Our sacrifice is not optional. The only way to preach the gospel and spread it is to sacrifice. He told us to bear our crosses and follow him. And what is the cross? It means death. The cross is not a decoration. When can we be free from the cross? When we die. The only way to come down from the cross is to die. So we must be faithful to the death. And we must sacrifice. If I don't sacrifice, my family will never receive salvation. And yet, we are so selfish. So we sometimes think that sacrificing is unfair, and we are upset and try to avoid. Then the work of salvation will never happen. We must sacrifice. For the family evangelism, the first mindset that we must have is the sense of responsibility. The sense of responsibility. God called me to save my family. You must have that in your mind. You don't have to be a pastor, an evangelist, or a missionary and go far away to preach the gospel. You don't have to do all those things, but instead, you must think, I am the missionary sent to my family and my household. What kind of mindset do the missionaries have? They're determined to die. They're determined to sacrifice. Think about your family. There's no language barriers between you and your family. You're preaching to your beloved family in your house. You should be kind to them and be nice to them. If you go on a mission trip, you must sacrifice a lot. From A to Z, from 1 to 10, you must serve them and do whatever they ask you to do to win their hearts. And you're not helping your family and act rudely? Your family members have to notice the difference from you. But if you fight or argue with your family, then there's no progress at all. Your wife is asking something, urging you to do something, and you go like, be quiet, keep your mouth closed, or something like that, then there's no progress. Why is this happening? Because you're not considering yourself as a missionary of your family. You don't have this sense of responsibility. Before, they were my family, but now they are the souls to preach. They are the souls to save. And I am the missionary. You have to have that mindset. You must pray, and you must sacrifice for them. And that is the only way. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. We were sent to be eaten by them. Everyone, it's so simple and easy to send people to hellfire. It's very easy. If we stay indifferent and do nothing, they go to hell. Us doing nothing is just leaving them in eternal death. We can save them. We have the ability to save them, and we have the power to save them. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. He gave us the key to open the door of evangelism. He gave this to us, but we don't preach. And people go to hell because of that. My husband, my wife, my parents, my children, why are they in hell? Oh God, I did not know that. Am I the keeper of my brother? God will say, what have you done? What have you done? What are we doing now? When we see him in heaven, he'll ask us, what did you do for me? To evangelize your family, what did you do? How hard did you try? How many times did you try? God, I did enough. I can't do anymore. Not preaching the gospel is spiritual murder. We must remember that. It is the act of killing. It is a murder.